Okay, today on the show, I have got Kara Mobley. Kara, welcome to Age Group Podium Junkies.
Hi,
Go
Paul. How are you?
ahead. Good, good. Go ahead, give us a little bit of background on yourself, your age, where you're from, and all the good information.
Yeah, so I am 36. I am from Fort Worth, Texas. I've been doing Hyrox. This is my fifth season. So I've had quite the journey from whenever it was a smaller adventure to now the juggernaut that we all know today.
Cool. And so going back, so you started probably back in COVID time or
Um,
just
my
prior to COVID?
my first Hyrox was Dallas of 2021, so just after COVID.
Ah, okay. And let's see, how many races have you raced and how many podiums?
As of this last weekend, DC was race number 50, hit that marker, and I have podiumed, I believe, 26 times over the course of this. I have a couple more races lined up this season, so hopefully we can add to that number before it's all said and done.
Yes. No, good. All right, what is your why? Why do you do high rocks?
Oh gosh. I'm just an extremely competitive person and I really like taking on new challenges. So whenever Hyrox presented itself, it was not anything I'd ever done before. So my initial jump in is why was to just challenge myself. And I think the people in the community of what's kept me coming back. I think, as much as racing and podiuming and all of that is really fun, Hyrox has brought some really special people into my life and it's a really special sport. So just getting to be able to not only chase podiums for myself, but to be able to cheer on, my friends in the community and doing the same thing.
Good. How'd you find out about high rocks, and what inspired you to go ahead and join up for high rocks?
So to avoid a long story now, I used to be a competitive jump roper. And when I retired from that about 6 months later, I decided I was bored. And I saw a former coach friend of mine was doing Spartan races. And so I messaged him. I'm like, hey, tell me more about this. I want to do something again. And he said, this is great. You should absolutely do this, but have you seen this thing? And he sent me Hyrox. And I was like, Jason, you are insane. There's running involved there, and I don't run. And he was like, you run. And I was like, not like this. And so I kind of actually tabled it. And then I'm a big fan of CrossFit. I ended up going to the Rogue Invitational down in Austin, just a couple hours drive for us. And so watched some of my favorite CrossFit athletes. And I got super pumped from watching that. And I texted my best guy friend. I'm like, hey, you're fit. I'm fit. Let's do this. And so we signed up for our first Hyrox, and Dallas just so happened to be like 2 weeks later.
So Dallas was your first high
Mhm.
rocks. And
It
then
was.
when you guys jumped into that first one, how did you do? And what did you think?
Well, that's a loaded question because initially we got fifth in age group, which now you say that and everyone's like, oh, that's great. I think there was maybe like 20 teams in our
Yeah,
age group. Maybe that race had 950 total athletes, and then this past Dallas had 17,000. So that's
yeah,
a big difference. Time wise, I think it was like a 116, maybe. I think we even got a penalty, maybe even on top of that. I'd have to go back and look, but I still remember I distinctively have this picture of me walking in the rock zone, of me just sipping and taking a water bottle, smiling at the photographer people. And I'm like, man, how times change.
yeah,
And so I finally look back on that race. And I think before I crossed the finish line, I already decided I was doing it again. So I was quickly addicted.
yeah, yeah. And you were one of the early adopters because was 21 the first year that we did them here in the States?
Um,
Do you
I
remember?
believe it was, I don't think so. I think there was a 2020 race in Chicago. I know Chicago and Austin both happened before Dallas.
Yeah,
I don't know the exact dates on both of those, but both of those things happened prior to COVID
yes,
or maybe during. I know that whenever I raced Chicago, so Chicago is my second race,
yes.
we were still like in masks going in there and doing that race. So I know that a Chicago had happened prior to that. So it may have been right before COVID, and then COVID kind of put a stop, and then they picked it back up in Dallas.
Yep, yep. Wow. I came into the sport in 23. Chicago
Mhm.
23 was my very first race. So that was the season of 23. So this is my
Okay,
third full season race.
awesome. I love that.
Um, all right. So you've done 50 races, podium 26 times. When did you first podium?
My
What was
second
your,
race in Chicago.
Oh, and how did was it? Tell me about the race. What was it? A solo, doubles?
It was solo. So it was my first solo race, and it was U.S. Championships. And so I definitely did not go in with the expectation of a podium. I was still getting started. I just had got my first coach. And so like I was being coached by Lauren Rantala and Mark Howe. And so they were coaching me. I started in November. I believe Chicago may have been January, maybe February of that year. And so I was not expecting anything like that. So I just went out and, gave it my all. And, looking back, on, where I've started and where I've come, I think I ran a 122
Yes.
open women, because that's when open women,
Yeah.
and I got the world championship spot in Vegas. And so I just remember seeing the results become final on the website, and Lauren was still racing pro women, and I run up to Mark, and I'm like squealing that I podiumed and got to go to worlds, and Lauren's like pushing her sled. She's like, "What?" And so I
Yeah.
just remember that distinctively. I got all of those things really quickly. And
Yes.
so for me, that made me like, okay, cool. I can actually maybe be good at this, and kind of really just, not that I wasn't already addicted, but like really dug in.
Yeah. Where was Worlds that year? Was that Manchester or?
That was Vegas.
Oh, so that was the year prior. That was Vegas
Mhm.
then.
Mhm.
Oh,
So
cool.
Vegas was my first world championships.
Oh, cool. And then it was Manchester the next year. Did you go to Manchester?
I did. I've gone to worlds every year,
Every
actually.
year. Oh,
Yes. It's
congratulations.
20 so far. Yes.
Yeah. Um, let's see. What so far has been your most memorable race?
So Dallas, two Dallases ago. So Dallas, I guess that makes it 24. I raced mixed doubles. I raced that with Chris Balvin, who I typically race with. We got third. I went upstairs, showered, ate some lunch, and then I went back down and I raced open doubles with my little sister. And it was her very first Hyrox. She had just had a baby like 6 months before. So once she was cleared, I trained her to run Hyrox, and I promised her I would run with her, but she had to run the whole time, and she had to at least try every single station. And so I still have a video that's like up on my Instagram of us finishing wall balls and running in, holding hands. And she's just like, a big old puddle of tears. And just, being alongside her for that full journey of, going from, my baby sister to a mom of two, not working out at all, to, training her, having her, getting to run her first Hyrox alongside her was really memorable for me. Cause at that point I'd probably done 30 plus races. And
Yes.
so to me, that wasn't about a podium. That wasn't about anything other than just having that moment with my sister. And so that for me meant a lot. It meant a lot to the both of us to get to have that moment together as well.
Yes. No, that's pretty cool. Um, what is your favorite venue?
Ooh, I think so. This last weekend in DC, I will say, was my very favorite race layout. It was a beautiful race layout, but venue wise, I really loved Nice Worlds.
Hmm.
That venue was really cool. Manchester Worlds was a really cool. That Manchester train station, it has been really awesome. So these abroad races have been a really great experience. But I
Yes.
think just like the vibe around Nice Worlds, it being in France, being in, just Nice in general is a beautiful place. That was the most memorable race for me. And again, I've done several worlds now, but I always look back on that one really fondly. And it was a really hard race for me. It was actually really hot in the venue that day.
Yeah.
I felt like a little, we were kids growing up using the magnifying glass to roast a roly poly or something. I
Yeah.
kind of felt like that in the venue,
Yeah.
but it was just so cool. That world championships was a lot bigger than the ones that years prior had been. Spectating was great. Like everything just about the venue, the opening ceremony, all of that were super well run. So that's probably the race location that I've enjoyed the most so far.
Yes. Yes. And speaking of this season, are you qualified for Stockholm?
I am. I am.
And what?
I'll be running mixed doubles and hopefully also women's pro doubles.
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
Perfect. Where'd you get your qualification races this year?
So far, I did Anaheim mixed doubles. We got second place there, and then I am racing Miami with Lauren Rantala here in a couple of weeks, and we're hoping to walk away with that spot from Miami.
Yes. Have you run with Lauren before?
Yeah, so we ran the original Miami beach race in the sand together. That was like a spur of the moment decision then. This one is still kind of spur of the moment. We booked it last week, so still, in Hyrox standards today, that's kind of spur of the moment. But I remember the first one we had just run, I believe it was the Fort Worth race that year. And we were on a call because we both previously worked for Hyrox. We were on a call and she's like, "Hey, you want to run Miami this weekend?" And this was like Tuesday. I was like, yeah, sure. And so I ended up buying a flight, heading down, and we podiumed there as well. But it was really cool to run in the sand on the beach, but it was very, very hot. And I don't know that you could pay me to run in the sand ever again.
Right, right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I got Cancun coming up this weekend, and it's kind of in that
Sounds
same
fun.
vein as it's outdoor. It's gonna be hot, humid. At least it's not in the sand though, because that Miami wouldn't really be the standard anymore.
No, no. And it probably ruined all the equipment, like all the ergs.
Oh
But
yeah,
I'm super jealous of Cancun. I'm not signed up for that just with the proximity of DC and
yeah,
Houston coming up and it being right in the middle. But I mean, I love Cancun, so I think it would have just been a really awesome experience to get to do that. So I'm actually a little bit jealous. I'm having
yeah.
some FOMO. But
Oh, cool. Hey, going back to Lauren, she was in a boot all last year, I remember. And I obviously, I think she was in the boot. I seen her at the Dirty Dozen back in June. And I think I seen her maybe at one Hyrox race since then as part of the crowd. Has she raced at all yet this season?
she raced Phoenix. So she was
Okay.
with us in Phoenix. She raced pro solo in Phoenix. And she is racing with a friend of hers in London. I'm a coworker of hers. She works for Output Sports now. So she's going to be racing with a coworker of hers in London. Miami, she's going to swing pro solo on Friday and then with me on Saturday as well.
Oh,
So
good.
she is doing a lot better. She had a foot injury. That was a pretty significant foot
Hmm.
injury and she went through a lot of treatment on that and she's healed up really, really nicely. She just recently did the Berkey on a ski and on a fat bike, which I didn't know was a thing. So she did that. She's feeling great. She's had a couple health scares, but she's good. She's ready to rock. I'm so excited to run with her. I think we're going to make a good team. So I'm hoping that Miami turns out for her. I mean, I would love to see her get it individually and with me. So hopefully she gets the race that she deserves to have. She deserves a good one.
Yes. So you said you used to work for Hyrox. What'd you do for Hyrox?
So I was the regional manager of basically Waco North in Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. So I kind of did the grassroots work. So like
Hmm.
I said earlier, when I first started Hyrox, Dallas had 950 total athletes, and I finished work. I no longer work for Hyrox as of Worlds of last year. So they had launched the Dallas race. It sold out, 17,000 athletes. So in that amount of in that 3.5 years, I worked for them. I basically went around to different gyms, putting on gym events, bringing awareness to Hyrox because people
Hmm.
didn't know what it was.
Yes.
So doing that, bringing awareness, talking to athletes, helping them learn how to train, talking to coaches, gym owners, helping them coach and figure out what Hyrox would look like in their gym. And then I was also in charge of trying to get those gyms to become Hyrox affiliates. So
Ah,
that's what I spent 3.5 years doing and building with Hyrox before I left working for them.
gotcha. Okay, so when another question, kind of side note or side question here. Um, so you used to work for Hyrox. Obviously, you train and race. Well, what do you have a day job?
So I did. I This is actually, I don't want to say slightly newer development, slightly new development. I did med device sales for 13 years. Very
Uh,
successful career. I
yeah.
loved it. I was in the OR all the time. It was also a competitive environment as well. So I did that for 13 years. But as of September of 2025, I actually went full time into fitness. So because I no longer work for Hyrox, I could now coach athletes myself.
Hmm.
So I now work for the Holistic Athlete with Maria and Mike Fetchek. The three of us are the coaches for that company. And we all have one-on-one clients. We have group programming. So I've actually gone headfirst into that. And I've had clients since before I went all in, but I've really gone all into that since September and helped build up my client roster for that, build up our group programming. So I'm in charge of both of those things. And then obviously fitness full time as well. But yeah, for the first 4 seasons I did Hyrox, I was working, I'd get up in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd be in the OR by 6:45. I'd work until 3, 4 o'clock whenever surgeries ended. I'd take a nap, eat some food, and I was probably at the gym from 7:30, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. at night. And I would go home and do it again and juggle Hyrox, the job on top of that. And so I'd go to gym Saturdays and Sundays. So essentially working 7 days a week, training 6 days a week,
Yes.
and yeah, it was a lot. I burned the candle on both ends.
Hmm.
And then, fortunately, I had the opportunity to step away from my full time job and to really lean into fitness full time.
Oh, cool. All right. Do you have any one race that was the most rewarding?
Probably that same race with my sister, but like individually. I felt like Manchester Worlds was really good for me. I think at the time, Hyrox was a little bit different.
Yeah.
You could qualify for Worlds out of Open and Pro. And strategically for me, it made more sense for me to run Open because I didn't have the running background that some of the other female athletes my age in our 30s did. And that's a very competitive bracket, that 30 to 39 range.
Oh yeah.
And so I had run Open to qualify and do all that stuff, but I had strategically done so the year before. And then going into Manchester Worlds, I kind of got it both directions from Open, and I ran a pro race that got me there as well. And so for me, being able to run Manchester, show up, it was my first time to go sub 120 in a pro race. So again, someone with no running background, getting to do that for me, that was a big jump I wanted to make as an athlete running pro. And so that was something that meant a lot to me. Also that race, my two best friends, Camilla Massa and Maria Fecek, both podiumed 1-2 in our age division. And so I distinctly remember like I'm having my best race, and I remember on the rower like listening because they were ahead of me, them battling it out in wall balls. And I remember I'm like getting emotional, like on the rower, and my husband's like, focus, you're on pace,
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah.
And so it was memorable all around. I ran my best at the time, my best pro race ever. And then I got to hear my two best friends, obviously win and come in second place at Worlds. So it was really fantastic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next question. Let's talk about training. What is your training like? How many days a week you training? How many hours you putting in? What's your run volume looking like? And then are you following any specific programming, or is it programming you do yourself?
So the programming I do myself currently, myself and Chris Balvin, we put together our stuff. We train together a lot. And so we put together our own programming just based off of what works within our schedules. I've used other programming in the past. I've used the Hybrid Engine, which is Lauren Weeks and Anthony Parasini, amazing people, the utmost respect for the both of them. And then, like I said earlier, Lauren Rantel and Mark Howe are my original coaches. So I've used a variety of programming, but I've been doing my own stuff now probably for about a year and a half, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of within, juggling the jobs and, kind of where we're at now. I have enough experience at this point to where I know my body, I know what I can handle. And I don't need somebody to write something for me. I can do it. And then again, I have, Mike and Maria to bounce things off of within a coworker standpoint as well, if we, see any gaps or any holes there. I typically work out 6 days a week. I do take a rest day. My husband's very supportive of all of this, but I really want to make sure I'm also pouring back to him and into our marriage. So I very much prioritize, a day that's for us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my training varies in volume, just kind of depending on where I'm at in the season and kind of the amount of races that I'm doing. So like right now I've raced a ton. I mean, I did Phoenix, Vegas, DC. I have Houston, Miami, and then I'm signed up for LT games. And so there's a lot of racing that's
Yeah.
happening. And so a lot of time I want to reward myself with recovery a little bit, but a lot of times I'm turning it around really quickly. So we definitely prioritize different kinds of days. We have our more like VO2 max running, speedish days. We have our threshold, tempo days, and then like the long, easy run days as far as like the running goes, programming wise. We'll throw a very Hyrox specific day in there. And then different strength movements as we're really into the season right now.
Mm-hmm.
So strength work is probably going to pick up more in the summer. Whenever Worlds is over, we'll dive back into that. So right now it's very much, kind of what I said, the running wise, we get some lifting in there, but it's not super heavy or anything right now. And a lot of Hyrox specific. I do have the luxury of training with my race partner. And so just making sure that everything is clean, the teamwork is there, to where, if we're running on fumes in a race, we don't necessarily always have to communicate because we know, each other's next move in that sense. I bet we train anywhere from 2 to 3 hours a day, those 6 days a week. So that volume puts it anywhere, probably from 14 to, oh, that's not 14. What is that? 6? What did I say? Yeah, I guess 12 to 18-ish hours a
Yeah.
week, sometimes more, sometimes maybe a little bit less. Again, I'm not as young as I once was. So my volume, I may have the intention of training 18 hours, 20 hours, whatever it ends up being. And my body could laugh in my face and we dial it back. Because in the end, I tell this to my clients all the time, you can push yourself as hard as you want in training, but if your body gives up, if you get injured,
Mm-hmm.
you're not, the fitness is not going to reflect on race day. So just really kind of at this point trying to find that balance to where like where we need to push, where we need to come back, just to keep us healthy and able to really dive in and really absorb those quality days and to continue to get better.
Yes, yeah. It's yeah, especially like you said, you're racing a lot of races here in a short period of time. So you get in between those races and you're going into a maintain and not really, like you said, not try not to hurt yourself, right?
Mhm.
And then those days that you do train, you want to be fully recovered so you're getting the maximum out of your training session.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
I think when you're racing as much, and I mean, I know you race a lot as well, not every race can be an A race.
No.
You have to have those priorities, and different things that you look for. Like DC, I would have loved to podium in DC. We were just off the podium. Um, but I ran really well. And so I actually like I feel really good about where my fitness is at because I kind of had a dud race in we got fourth, but I personally don't feel really proud of how I raced in women's pro doubles in Vegas.
Hmm.
And so I felt really good about the work I put in between DC and Vegas and then what my running felt like in DC to lead to the A race for us in Houston. Because Houston,
Yes.
for us, is, I'm going to say home. I mean, we're up in Dallas. It's about a 4-hour drive, but a lot of people from Dallas will be down there. And so for us, being able to peak at home with our friends and our families and all that here and hopefully chase that podium spot in Houston was a huge priority. And then we were trying to do pretty well in Phoenix. So kind of those. And then obviously, like I said, I'm running with Lauren in Miami the week after Houston. So that's also an important one. So some races, I don't want to say are treated as workouts, but they're treated with the intention of like, let's see where we're at.
Yeah.
And let's not get too mentally like stuck on that. Like with Vegas, I read a quote after I raced Friday night, I saw a quote that athletes become really dangerous when they can send the wins and the losses down the same drain. And so I was trying to, like I've had a lot of really successful races. This one wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I learned something. And
Yeah.
so like, we're going to send it down. We're going to pack it up. We've taken what we're going to take out of that and move forward. And so
Yes.
I felt really good about what I was able to do mentally in the 2 weeks between Vegas and DC and then physically as well.
Yes. Well, good luck to you guys
Thanks.
in Houston here. I hope you and Lauren do well, and I'll be watching that one to see how you guys do.
Thank you.
All right. Break down each day of training. How do you mix it up? Strength, cardio, give me a couple days how you mix up your training.
Yes, I mean, just for instance, last night we did some longer duration tempos, but we broke it up with a little bit of strength work in between just to kind of get us off the treadmill a little bit. Again, everybody has, I don't want to say different ailments, but we go through different things. So, like for me, sometimes my back gets really tight on those just like really long runs. And so we
Mm-hmm.
actually, instead of running, 45 minutes to an hour on tempo, we did it in 20-minute segments with a strength piece in between.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to we have 2400s on the docket this week as well. So some speed work. We'll probably do, some core after that, nothing too strenuous, just because obviously we're really pushing our bodies for that quality run and that 400. Um, we have some aerobic running or aerobic erging later
Mm-hmm.
this week as well. We'll do some strength work with that, just some lifting, probably full body. We'll probably do some upper body and lower body portions, just because again, like I said, from where we are in the season, it's just maintenance right now,
Yeah.
not necessarily like building. So just some maintenance lifts. We have a Hyrox specific workout that we're going to do on Friday. So that's anywhere from 60 to 75 minutes of just, kind of those same movements, the longer runs. You're gonna do something to compromise the legs or the body, jack the heart rate, go out for a run, that kind of a thing. It's not necessarily just Hyrox movements. It can be anything that kind of creates that same fatigue. That's just a little bit of a compromised running, Hyrox specific type situation. We have some sled work that we're going to throw in as well this week. So just some different things that we've noticed from our races that we feel like we could polish just a little bit more,
Yes.
that lead into Houston. Because essentially we have this week and next week, and then we're tapering. Or maybe it's even
Right.
less. Oh, goodness, it's good. It just gets here really quick.
It does, doesn't it? So let me ask you this: you're running tread, runner, outdoor, or a mixture?
At all cost. I have a very tender Achilles, and
Mm-hmm.
that's something that has really aggravated it.
Oh,
Um,
the runner will aggravate the Achilles, huh?
just the way that it tilts, like, because I mean, because
Yeah,
it's arched, right? So it requires more of the push down, so it
yeah,
stretches that more on every step. So I've just seen that it affects me, and just again that longevity of being able to compete. So I try to say, if I'm going to run, you can kind of create something by putting your treadmill a little bit of an incline if you want
Yeah.
to challenge yourself like that. I find that a little bit better for my body. Um, I don't know that I would be caught dead doing a long run on a treadmill though. Like
Yeah.
it just the I cannot. We have a really beautiful area out by our home that runs along one of the rivers. It's wooded. It's the river's right there. People ride bikes all the time. Lots of people out. So I always try to do like a weekend long run. We try to do it out there, just get some fresh air. I will say I'm a Texas girl to my core. So when it gets like below 50, I really have a hard time with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm so fortunate to live in the South where it's usually pretty nice. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, so a mix of tread and a mix of outside.
Yes. Okay, good. Um, I think we covered training pretty good. What is your athletic background or sport background?
So I grew up as a competitive jump roper. Not something that a lot of people, did as a kid, but most people did like jump rope or heart, that kind of a thing. That was kind of like a side thing that we did. But yeah, so I competed in jump rope from 6 to 16, and then took a 10-year hiatus and came back at 25 and competed until I was 30. So I did that on and off for a long time. I sat on the board of directors for USA Jump Rope for 6 years. Really enjoyed that experience before COVID kind of came in and really took a sledgehammer to that.
Hmm.
Um, and so just kind of in the midst of COVID and where my life was moving, I hung up the ropes. We're not taking them back out and dusting off them for another unretirement.
Yeah.
Um, I did that for a long time. I was a sprinter, a jumper. I'm so big in track and field. So I did a lot of that. Long jump was my jam, running full speed into a pit of sand, like sign me up. So I did that for a long time as well. I was also a cheerleader, not necessarily the over peppy type, but you want me to throw someone in the air and you want me to do a backflip? Totally in. So much
Yes.
fun. So I had a good time doing that for a long time as well.
So you had a pretty good base already built going into, because competitive jump roping is insane. So you already had a pretty good base going into Hyrox.
If Hyrox was a race that had 400-meter runs in between it, I would be amazing.
Yeah.
Um, I'm fast, but the stretch of, as anybody would know within Hyrox, like just because you can run a 200-meter really fast and crush the competition doesn't mean you can stretch that speed for 1,000 meters 8 times.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I've really had to work on. I had no aerobic base. I'm very anaerobically built. I can handle still to this day a high heart rate really well. But being able to stretch that speed is something that I've had to really build over the course of 5 years, because sprints and 1 to 3 minute jump rope routines or different speed events don't necessarily lead to an endurance base. So that's
True.
where I had a big hole in my game, and that I've spent the last 5 years trying to fill.
Yes. No, that's true. The short duration it doesn't translate at all to the endurance stuff. I mean, a little bit, but not really well.
Yeah, I mean, the explosive power is good. Like, I'm not afraid of a sled. Sleds, I actually really enjoy those. Ski erg's fine. But like the ability to go from running to like doing all those burpee broad jumps and then having to run again, sometimes I actually don't love that. But just being able, again, like I said, to be able to run number 8 as fast as I run number 1, being able to stretch that and have that consistency is something that I've really had to dial in over the years.
Yes, yes. Okay, so at Hyrox, if you could eliminate one station, what station would you eliminate?
Ball jumps. I'm 5'10". That is a long way down, a long way back up. So yeah, I would absolutely, like, it's not even close.
Yeah,
that one I would burn.
yeah,
Uh, yeah,
yeah. It was funny.
absolutely.
DC, the burpees seem long in DC for some reason. I don't know why, but
They felt fine in DC. Phoenix was weird because it had that. Did you run Phoenix?
yeah, it had
It had
the
that
gap.
piece. I was like, I mean, I guess I'll take my 2 run steps here before I go do another burpee.
Yeah,
Um, but I also feel like, again, I've leaned really heavily into doubles the last couple seasons. So
yeah,
doubles burpees are also a lot different than individual burpees. I would
they are.
absolutely burn them for individuals. For doubles, I would still burn them, but like not quite as much.
Yes, yes. Okay, so if you're going to replace or if you're going to eliminate a station, let's say burpees, what would you replace it with? Do you have an idea?
Oh, double unders.
Oh, yeah,
Double
of
unders.
course,
And
right?
handedly. That's
Yeah,
something like I always say, like, man, could I do 100 double unders while people run around doing their 1,000-meter run instead? Like, it'd be a game changer for me. So
yes,
I would add the jump rope in and make people learn that skill.
yeah, yeah. So how many double unders would we be doing instead of burpees?
I don't care. It doesn't. So that was like part of what we used to do whenever we would compete. You had like a 30-second double under that you did, and
Yeah.
I podiumed every time. That was my jam.
Ha!
Loved that. I mean, I think I maxed out at about 88 double unders in 30 seconds. I think that was kind of my best on like the as I came back into the sport. So I mean, if I got just it's 80 meters of burpee broad jumps, right? So we'll
Yeah,
triple that. We'll triple that. So I'll do 240 double unders instead of burpee broad jumps.
instead of burpee broad jumps. Okay.
Yes.
That's a new answer that I've gotten on that question. A lot of people say assault bike. They'd put the assault bike in there somewhere.
Why?
And eliminate,
No.
it seems to be the common one to eliminate is wall balls.
Oh no, I love wall balls. Those are my
Yeah,
best.
well, you're taller.
You're right, but it's also a long way down.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's
A long
true.
way down. It's a
Yeah.
flight close up, but a long way down.
Yeah. Very true. All right. Near miss or disaster at a Hyrox competition.
So last year, Anaheim, Molly and I were running, pro doubles. We were running for our world spot, and it was like our one chance. I don't think we actually had another like race opportunity to run together. And there was a little bit of a disaster that happened for us at sled pull, to where like normally whenever you're running in and you're leading the front of a pro division, you're sent like, I mean, you would know, you've sent all the way down.
Yeah.
Like you're running in, you're sent all. They stopped us right away, like in front of that, and sent, there was nobody in there though, and sent us right into the first lane. So we start pulling, and then they decide they want us to go down. I'm
Yeah.
like halfway across the lane, and they're trying, and I literally like there's a picture of me saying no, like we've already started. This is not how, like,
Yeah.
no, we'll run the full length to go down to get out. Like there's no reason. Those people can go if you want them down there. This is our lane. We've already started pulling. Like it's too late. And then we've done three full lengths of pull. And the judge is like, you're done, you're done. And I'm like, no, we're not. It's 4 lengths. And he's like, you're done, you're done. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, did I count this wrong? Did I screw this
Yeah.
up? What did I
Uh,
do? And Molly's doing the same thing. And so we're like, okay, like we leave. I realized as we're running out, we were absolutely correct.
yeah.
We missed a lane, which I didn't know for sure what the penalty was. And so I knew we had one. And they came up to us at burpees, took a picture of my arm. I knew we had one. I'm like, okay. So now like we don't need to just win because we had to win. We had to get first place.
Yeah.
I'm like, so because Molly's really young. I'm 36, Molly's 26, but at the time she was 25 and I was 35. So we were actually 25 to 29, I believe.
Yeah.
We had to win. There wasn't a 2 spot. So now we have to win by 3 minutes.
Oh
I didn't
God.
know if it was 1 or 3. And so I'm running around and I'm talking to Mike Fetchek, my business partner, and then Camilla Massa's husband, Luca. And I'm like, what's the penalty for a slane pull or lead pull slane? I couldn't remember because I'm mid race. I'm thinking it's 3 minutes. And so Molly and I'm like, we just win by 3 minutes, whatever it takes. And so we were just out like a light.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, we're not only racing, we're timing out like when people come behind us.
Yes.
So we're trying to stretch our lead no
Yeah.
matter what. We're like, we got to stretch this to 3 minutes. And so I remember sitting down at row and I'm like, all right, we have, a 2-minute, 15-second lead. Not enough. We got to pull, push. We're hammering that farmer carry. And then we get through lunges. And I think it was like one of the M's. And so we're like, I told her what time we were at as because she started the lunges. I'm like, and I was like, as she stepped, I'm like, we're at whatever time it was. And so whoever had the bag knew the math. And so whenever the next person stepped in behind us on lunges, we had a 2-minute and 56-second lead. And so we were still 4 seconds back. And so, I mean, we finished, we did our wall balls, and some other people are coming up like celebrating with us. You won. And we're like, no, we didn't, not yet. And so we're like standing on the stage, like looking at like we see our finish
Yeah.
time,
Yeah. Did the penalty
staring
show
at
up?
our watches until we like see the 3 minutes pass, and we ended up winning by 3 minutes and it was fine. But I mean, I ran an entire race after sled pull about to just like throw up, not
Yeah.
because of the actual physical exertion, but because we we didn't like, it's like you're in the moment and you
Mm-hmm.
know what you need to do, but so many people are telling you something else, and then you're like questioning yourself, and it's like you can't go back and fix it at
Yeah.
that point. Like we've already gone out, and so that was our, I don't want to say near miss, but I mean it was a near miss. I mean, we had, I think by the time they all got done with their wall balls, we ended up winning by like 37 seconds or something.
And did you
Um,
guys get a penalty too?
mhm,
And was it 3 minute?
mhm,
Okay. And then even with the 3 minute, you still came out ahead.
mhm,
Perfect.
yeah, yeah. That's what I ran with her in Chicago, and that was the spot that we qualified from. So yeah, so it was a very stressful situation. I don't know that I've ever been more, I don't even remember the race because I was so stressed about the gap that we needed to have to win. And that was, because that was right when the rule was introduced that you couldn't run open, you had to run pro. And
Yeah.
so I actually think we were signed up open for that race because it was right after Dallas of 2024. And I ended up contacting Hyrox, and we were able to flip to the pro division and race pro, because I'm like, well, I'm not going to go race if it's not going to be a pro qualification, or if it's going to be a pro qualification, we'll just go race pro. We'd
Yeah.
only signed up open because it was literally 6 days later.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyways, we just flipped to pro, and so like it was fine. Neither of us were like concerned about that. It's what we should be running anyways.
Yeah.
It just, it was a matter of like, we didn't know what kind of fatigue we would have from the Dallas race going into that.
Yes.
I ran
Yes.
three, that's the year I ran 3 races in Dallas that year. I ran mixed doubles, that doubles race with my sister, and then I ran a relay at the end of the day as well. And it was a 1 day event. So 3 races 1 day, and then a week later I was going to Anaheim.
That's tough. That's tough.
The relay was the most painful experience I've ever had in it was
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Oh.
was it hurt so much.
So you got, so have you ever had any other races where the judges sent you, like at a wall ball, for example? I had them direct me to a wall ball station, and I got into like three wall balls, and they moved me over. They made me stop and actually go like 5 lanes over. I'm like, you directed me here. Why are you making me stop and go over? And that was back in my early days of racing, so I just kind of did what they said, right? And I just went over
Yeah.
there. But have you ever had any of those kind of mishaps?
The other thing that comes to mind, I ran a relay one year. I can't remember if it was Dallas or if it was Houston, but one of those. And the legs of the relay I did are always sled pull and wall balls.
Yeah,
And I remember coming in to sled pull, and it was pro weight on the sled, and it's
yeah,
supposed to be open.
yeah,
And so like across the board, everything had 3 plates on it.
yeah,
And I'm like this, I'm literally running in. I'm like, this is wrong. And the lady's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, I promise you it is. And she's like, it's not wrong. I literally turn around and go, I work for Hyrox. This is wrong. And she goes, well, we were told it was correct. I go get the race director and bring him over here. So at the time, the race director came over and he saw what I was talking about, and they ended up fixing it for every station after. But like the thing with relays typically do one of two things. They're people's introduction to Hyrox,
yeah,
so like people's first race, or they're people, like myself or you, who are going to just like all gas, no brakes
yeah,
situation. So for me, again, I'm working for Hyrox, telling you what I'm doing at the time, going into all these gyms, trying to introduce these people to the race. And I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my God, there's some women who are about to have to come pull a pro weight on their
yeah,
first race, or they pushed it on the sled
yeah,
already because the sled was messed up. The push was messed up too. And so they ended up fixing it. And, it was what it was. Like it was fair for the rest of the race, and it was done correctly. But the fact of the matter is those sleds were wrong. And there's
yeah,
some people, I was just sitting here thinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is some people's very first race and very first experience, and they're not going to be able to move this.
yeah.
And
That
so I
that
just,
happened to my in our team relay in Chicago. One of the ladies on our team got sent to the men. You know how they do the men's
mhm,
sleds and then the women's sleds. She got sent to a men's sled and pulled a full length before they finally were like, and she realized it. She's just like, well, I guess I'm pulling pro weights today. And then they tapped her and said, no, no, come on over here after they sent her to the men's sled.
well, hopefully they did that correctly and didn't make her pull in a fifth length. But, I, sometimes Hyrox does things that don't necessarily make sense, or those errors are made. But again, the judges are human.
Yeah,
A lot of them are volunteers. I try to give grace in that. Like people are giving up their time to do this so we can do what we do. And mistakes are going to happen. I just always hope that those things are made fair in the end.
yeah, exactly,
So
exactly. All right, let's see. Wall balls, unbroken beast or strategic breaks? What's your plan?
I like to be an unbroken beast.
Ha! Do you have the Red Bull patch yet?
No, because I run doubles, and so like I haven't
Uh,
gone unbroken in the doubles yet. But I keep like I should have done it in DC. Like I had it, I think. But like doubles is just faster than individual. But I remember my first time I went unbroken was in a relay, and we were neck and neck with this team. It's like I knew if I put this wall ball down, we were not going to win. And so it
yeah.
was like either you win or you lose by this wall ball. And so I found out I could do 100 unbroken. So I did that, and then I started really training for it. So wall balls and sled pull are beyond the other eight. Like there's a large gap for me in my abilities for those. I always have a really good sled time and a really good wall ball time. And so I trained that a lot with, a wall ball. Basically, I would never put the ball on the ground. Like I would do a big set, hold it for my break, and then do a big set to the point where it's like if I had to, like if my neck was to the fire and it's like you're going to worlds or not, if you can't do these 100 wall balls, like I feel very confident that even in my worst case scenario, I could get it done. I remember DC 2 years ago, I came into wall balls almost blacked out. My heart rate was like 185. I was like not great. U.S.A, who was one of the race directors at the time, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Your face is pale." We looked at my heart rate. He's like, "You're going to stand here." But like, I'm in a double, like we have a plan.
Yeah.
And so I think I had about 20 seconds and I looked down and it was still 176. And I was like, here we go. We're doing these wall balls. And so I prefer either like really big sets or just something unbroken. Chris and I looked the other day, we actually had the fastest wall ball time in DC for mixed doubles. Um, and so it's just something we worked on a lot to do, as a double. Strategically, you might like strategically on that particular race. If someone's doing an unbroken 100, unless they can keep that cadence of their wall
Hmm.
balls, you actually may take a time hit versus a really fast switch.
Yeah.
And so that's why we typically do what we do there. I am fully capable of that 100, so I always start and finish wall balls just to give a break. And so that's how we typically done that. I mean, I think individually in Vegas, it was my second race of the weekend. I think I did like a 40-60 split, something like that. I think I took a quick break in the middle of those. But I would say Unbroken Beast is always my goal whenever I go into an individual race or a relay. And then if it's necessary in a doubles, like I said, doubles is a different animal, right?
Yeah.
You're running faster, you're doing all that kind of stuff. So the heart rate's even more jacked up. If my neck was to the fire and they're like, win or lose, I'll do my unbroken 100.
Yes.
And I do want the opportunity to get the patch. It's just there's been, I mean, this is Podium Chasers, right? Like the flag and the podium spot is a little bit more important than my personal
Yeah.
ego of
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
Red Bull patch. But I do need to try to get one of those one day.
Right.
So
Right.
add it to the old backpack.
That's one of my personal goals too. Like you, I do it in a relay all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The open, I've come really close. I've done 80 in the open and 70 in the pro. But anyway, it is so if I come up to you and I were to ask you, hey, I want to be a wall ball beast, I want to do it unbroken, and I ask you, how do you train for wall balls? What's your response?
Kind of like what I said, I think if you're just doing wall balls as a standalone piece, I would say almost like a plan on a set of, again, I'm gonna say this is an experienced Hyrox athlete thing. I
Yeah.
would never give a beginner this advice. I would say maybe plan on a set of race weight 200 and do big sets, but never put that ball down. Keep it in your hands to where eventually, like, that your end number is 200 or 150, whatever it is, and you're pushing yourself to that number, and you might surprise yourself how close you can get to 100 when you have 50 more to go. I think also there's something to be said for doing it compromised,
Hmm.
whether it be, as a finisher of a workout, like you've done a full workout, you get, your break is to go grab your wall ball and you go and you do it then. So something very heavily compromised, or something to where you've done it the same kind of situation, with some running to where your heart rate's jacked up, ski erg. Ski erg's really a great tool to jack up your heart rate and then go with that. Because I think you feel all of those things in a Hyrox race, right? You
Yeah.
need to be able to master the skill individually alone with just wall balls. And then once you can do that, then I think the next step is being able to do it with a jacked heart rate. And then the next step is to have the jacked heart rate, have the fatigued legs, and be able to do that. Because as much as we would like to be say, oh, we can do 100 unbroken wall balls, but you have to do at the end of a race. There's a reason, like that's a bigger deal than just being able to be like, oh yeah, I'm starting my day with 100 wall balls and being
Yeah.
able to go through that compromised with the jacked heart rate, tired legs, all of that kind of stuff. So I would kind of step it and piece it that way for an experienced athlete. For an individual athlete, I think it's just a matter of the strategic breaks, but those breaks becoming less and less, and then progressing into that. I mean, obviously you want to make sure the newer athletes are going to depth. So starting with the workouts that allow
Yeah.
them to go to depth. Can you do 100 air squats to
Yeah.
depth prior to adding that wall ball in? So depending on the skill level of the athlete, I think that's how I would advise it along the way.
Okay. Good answer. Fair enough. Um, how has being a podium athlete, how has that changed your training?
I think it's made me want to work harder because, nothing is ever guaranteed in Hyrox. Like the sport is getting bigger and bigger and
Hmm.
bigger, and more people are coming over. You're getting your CrossFit Games athletes, your, marathon runners that are, women crushing, sub 230 marathons and coming into Hyrox. And so I think it's made me want to work harder because I think once you get a podium, once, twice, a couple of times, like that's the expectation that you set for yourself. And I think my mentality going into every single race is I want to toe the line and know that I'm a podium threat. I
Yes.
want to know that people are going to see the target and they're going to put it to my back, and I'm totally fine having that. So I want to be able to be a podium contender every single time. And so I train in such a way that allows that to be a reality for me. I've gotten on the podium. I've just missed. I think I'm the queen of fourth place finishes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Truly, I would love to talk to somebody who's gotten fourth more than me. It is the piece of humble pie that keeps my ego in check.
Yeah.
uh, so I just think it makes me work harder because again, I want to be there. I want to be able to continue to come home and to bring those flags home and have that success. And I don't want to be left behind. And so that's kind of how I approach it. To me, it's like, okay, cool. Like you get a flag, like the training's going well. It's kind of like that quote I said earlier. We've had this win. This is great. Let's celebrate it. Let's put it down in this drain or put it on your back and like have it motivate you to keep, propelling yourself forward, because as the sport keeps progressing, it's just going to keep getting harder and harder to stand
Yeah.
on it. So I think I use it as a bit of a celebration and then a bit of motivation to keep pushing the limits.
Yeah, you said you're like forever stuck at that fourth place, right? Like you feel like you're always getting fourth place. We have a guy that trains with us, Chris Rule, who is 32, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
he every race is like he just can't get the podium. He's always fourth, and I think he's probably outdone you with fourth places.
Really? Oh, I mean,
I
it's
feel,
this season and last season were really brutal. I mean, it never before has it been like this. And, it's kind of, we actually laughed in DC because we ended up sixth. And so
yeah,
we was like, well, at least you didn't get fourth. And I'm like, I would prefer it went the other direction like it did in
yeah.
Anaheim. But yeah, I mean, we've had, I've been fortunate to have a couple podiums this season, but other than those couple, everything else has been fourth.
Yeah, well, you guys are in a really, really, like you said earlier, you guys are in just
Yeah.
a monster tough age group.
Yeah, it's brutal. But again, iron sharpens iron, and it allows us to
Yeah,
step up the game. And I know that I'm good at this. It's just sometimes it's like when you continuously get fourth, you're just like, oh God, not again.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, so I mean, it kind of has the opposite effect too. I talk about the podium, getting the podium, and it pushing me forward in training. The fourth place puts the chip on the shoulder, so I can hang the flags on one side and the chips on the other, and just like walk into the gym with it at this
right.
point. So just using them as a motivating factor, not using, fourth place is not a loss. It's
Yes,
not a defeat. Was it the goal? No. But it also still shows that you're just right there. So like it gives you that little twinge to, maybe if you're running on a treadmill, push that speed up one more dial,
yeah,
or it's like, oh, I just did, my fifth 8-minute threshold. Could I do 10 minutes on that last one?
yeah,
That kind of thing, just pushing that, just going the tiny bit of an extra mile. So the next time, maybe that fourth turns into a third and that third turns into a second, those kinds of situations. Cause it is, I mean, there's so many talented athletes that we're up against. And I'm still so blessed to get fourth, to
yes.
still be up in those things. So again, I'm very fortunate to when I get to stand on a podium, and I appreciate that every single time. And I know what it feels like to just miss. And
Yes.
I think it makes me a better athlete, both
Yes.
directions. Mhm.
You know what's the most frustrating, or it used to be really frustrating? You get done with your race, right? And you run over, you get your phone out of your bag, and you look at the result, the standings, and you're number one or you're number two. And you're like, yes, hold that. I hope I can hold it, hold it. And then you look like 10 minutes later, and all of a sudden you're like number three. And then you look like 10 minutes later, and it's like, oh, we dropped the fourth or fifth or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's happened every single time.
Y-
I don't finish a race in fourth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
watch it all. And I think also, I don't want to say the rare privilege, but, Chris and I have raced, and even with Molly and women's pro doubles, like we've raced really well historically. So this year, the way they've kind of seeded some of the races, we've been in the first heat. And
Yes.
so, you come off and again, you're with the really fast, really talented people. And like, so like, we know sometimes like, we can let that person go a little bit because they're younger than us. You know, you're 25, on with you. Good job.
Yeah.
Uh, but then we get off and it's like, okay, cool. We're again first or second, but we have to wait for 6 more hours of heats to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's been the process, just like you said, the process for us this year. It's like we watched it fall, and then we start twinging. We get to third, and we're like, oh. And so, the ultimate goal for us was to qualify for Worlds, and then our next goal is a sub 60. And so that doesn't necessarily even involve another podium in that. We got that done in Anaheim. I really want to be a part, like I'm really dying to be a part of that sub 60 club. And
Yes.
something, if we run a 59:50 in Houston and it's fourth place again, that is such a win because that's
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
for the last 2 years. And so, I think if you run your best race and you've given everything you've got, like you have to be proud of that finish. That's what I tell my clients all the time. They're like, well, I ran this fast and I did this, but we're still, number 285 out of 1600. And I'm like, yeah. And last race, you're number 600 out of 1600.
Yeah.
Like we're making improvements here. And so I think, like, I need to be able to practice what I preach as well. And so I really am a firm believer in that. It's not to say that it's not very disappointing. It's not to say that there haven't been like a bit of disappointed tears shed over this a time or two, but it's something that like I've learned to accept. And again, the humble pie, I know what it tastes like.
Yeah.
And so, it keeps it in check, and it keeps you wanting more. It keeps you hungry. And yeah,
What you and Mark, what's your personal best together?
Chris and I have run a hour flat 49 seconds is our PR.
What did I say, Mark?
Mark, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of Lauren's
Lauren's husband. I have said his name like 3 times in this podcast.
yeah,
So
yeah. Okay, so you and Chris, what was your best time?
hour 49, like 1 hour, 49 seconds.
Oh, so close to that sub 1 hour, right? Like
And
so
we've
close
run
you could taste
101
it.
a couple of times this season, and we did a 102.04 in DC. So it's all still right there. Um, we need to put it together and both have our best days.
Yeah.
And I think whenever that happens, I think it'll be really, really good. I think it also depends on the course.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there, I don't care what they say. All courses are not created equal. The Anaheim course, I don't know if you ran Anaheim, but that
Hmm.
was that was not a good course.
Yeah.
And I think collectively across the board, like a lot of us who ran Dallas 2 or 3 weeks before saw anywhere from 90 seconds to like 2 or 3 minutes slower. You can't tell me everyone's fitness was consistently across the board
Yes.
have
Yes.
changed that much. And so it's just something that like before we ever ran in Anaheim, we knew it wasn't going to be a PR race. We just had to beat those people around us to get that podium spot, to get a world spot. And so we were able to do that, fortunately. I think Phoenix was a great course.
Hmm.
DC, I think, was a great course. So I'm hoping we're gifted a course similar in Houston. Same with Miami. But again, Miami's women's pro doubles. If I can run under an hour in pro doubles, yay me.
Yeah.
I would love that. But in all reality, like Lauren and I have a time in mind, and it's not a sub 60. So,
How is
but
Houston usually as a course? Fast, slow?
Houston,
Yeah.
there is a lot of really fast people that show up to Houston, which is why I'm saying we could run a sub hour and still not end up on a podium
Yeah.
for 35 to 39. Like it's fast. So is Dallas though. It's just, some of the OG spots with Hyrox have a larger following.
Hmm.
Houston historically has been one of my favorite courses.
Hmm.
Uh, I've ran women's open doubles there. I've had a lot of success in Houston. Um, but last year, I don't feel like it was fast, but I don't feel like it was like just an unfair course. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, sometimes the race layout leaves a little bit to be desired, but
Hmm.
I still think most of the time, like 90% of the time, it's still very fair.
Yeah. 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 In Houston, what time are you and Lauren targeting?
So Laura and I are running Miami. I'm running Houston with Chris.
Oh God, I can't keep your
You're
races
good.
straight.
You're good. So Houston with Chris, obviously sub-hour. That's
Okay.
been our goal all season. I think physically, like just full transparency, I think we're capable of somewhere between a 59 and a 60. I don't see my own personal running. Like again, it's gotten so much better. I don't know that I am physically capable of running faster than that currently, for now. But that's kind of the range I would like to see us in, that 59 to 60 minute range. Lauren and I would love to see us run like a 102-ish,
Yeah.
102-ish, somewhere in that range. I think that's going to be a conversation to have with Lauren because, she's running um, individual pro the day before. So Lauren's
Yes.
going to be a little bit fatigued coming in, but Lauren is such a phenomenal athlete. I mean, she's a former world champion. She's just a phenomenal, phenomenal athlete. So what her fatigue level is compared to what my fatigue level would be could be completely different. But I would love to see us do that. She has a lot of strengths to her racing on some places that I might not be quite as strong at,
Yeah.
that she can help to lead to faster running on my end. So I'd love to see us do that. It may end up being a 103-ish, but somewhere in that range, I'd like to see us be able to accomplish that in Houston or Miami. So you even got me saying it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. It's hard to keep when we race as many races as we do. You can't keep, sometimes you lose track.
yeah, I'm like talking about, I'm like wherever we were just last. I don't even know.
Yeah. 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 All right. I think we got them all. I said the last question would have been if Hyrox took out one station and added a station. You said jump rope, so I think we covered that one already. Um, I'm out of questions. You got anything else you want to add?
No, it's just, I mean, if anybody's listening to this and haven't done a Hyrox yet, you should absolutely sign up. It's a lot of fun. The community's great. You can meet people like me and Paul.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. It's just, I think it's just a wonderful place for, with a lot of wonderful people pushing themselves. Again, whether you're chasing the podium or whether you're chasing a PR or it's your first race, I just think it really brings the best out of a lot of people.
What advice would you have for somebody that, let's say somebody says, I am going to run my first Hyrox in Chicago next year, and I just started, let's say they've got a fitness base, like, they work out somewhere or whatever, but they are going to jump into Hyrox, and they've got what, like 5, 6 months to kind of up their training game here a little bit. What advice would you give them?
I think my first question would be, what are your goals? If their goals are to, whether it be Chicago or whatever, moving forward to podium, chase world spots, stuff like that, I would advise them to get a coach. I think there are a lot of really wonderful,
Hmm.
qualified people in this space. Obviously, I'd love, to coach as many athletes as I, could and make an impact. But there's a lot of really wonderful people, and whether it's a long-term situation or something that you just need a little bit of guidance on, there's a lot of people that could positively benefit from having a coach, especially a coach with experience. I think that is, as much as there is a lot of coaches, make sure athletes look for a coach with experience. um, and then if that's just not something that's in their repertoire, I just make sure, really hammer that running, as much as that you see the stations and the stations might be frightening. Hyrox is more than half running. And so I think people tend to fixate on the stations and figure out the stations on their first race and really underestimate what the running is going to do to them. And so, just kind of maybe talk to them a little bit about the running, what their current running looks like, and give some advice in that sense. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I tend to hear, because again, I did deal with a lot of clients that it was going to be their first race.
Yes.
And well, on top of what you're currently doing, make sure you're running, make sure you're doing the easy running. Don't skip the easy days, even though they may be the boring, unsexy days. You grow a lot and you build a firm foundation by really leaning into some of those. And so that's kind of, I've talked to a lot of people about that. Make sure you read the rule book. I see a lot of stuff on the internet where people are asking about different rules. Click the link on
Yeah.
hyrox.com, read it yourself and know those, because in situations like for you and for you who got moved over in the wall balls, or me who got given the wrong sled lane with the stuff with the coaches, I was able to know we were receiving a penalty, and I knew we immediately had to run like the wind
Hmm.
and make up for that. And I think if you have if you know that someone's telling you have a penalty that you know is not in the rule book, you can fight that. But if you don't know those things and you just accept for what it is, you don't know what, I don't want to say like what rights you have, but you know what you can argue, what you can't argue, or you know, never argue with your judge. Don't ever argue or
Yeah.
yell. Again, these people are volunteering their time to make sure we can do what we do. But just make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, where to stand up for yourself, where to accept a penalty, what you need to do to make up for a penalty if you're going to get one, that kind of a thing. I would also say look at the race map, know where your ins and outs are for every station for the race course. Don't get a stupid 2-minute penalty for going in the wrong arch. Like, just don't do that to yourself.
Yeah. Nope. Exactly. Well, hey, really good talking to you today, Kara. I appreciate you coming on the show. Um, let's see. Thank you. And we'll have this up on YouTube here maybe by the end of the night.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Kara. We'll see you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.